And good evening and welcome to round 11 of the Wheel-to-Wheel Racing AL2 Championship. You're going to join us here this evening at a track that's been a part of Formula 1 for over 72 years and the heart of British motorsport. Of course, that would be Silverstone. Now, this is a track that's one of the favourites from when the real Formula 1 circus does come to town. But I'm pretty sure the drivers tonight are going to agree. Of course, you do join me tonight, all shot down, or one lap down, as they like to refer to me, unfortunately, in this league, as I'll be attempting to take this one tonight solo. Of course, last time out we're at Austria, and we saw Woody Wolfie and Cal both taking the top two steps on the podium that time there, with both drivers making a recent move up into AL1 on the Wednesdays. It'll be sure to be interesting to see which drivers can take advantage of this one tonight. So, just going to quickly make sure I have everything all correct here, just like I've totally done this before. And we're going to find the first guys out on track. So here we are on board now. So Sega DeCoste wasting no time at all getting out on track here. It's going to be interesting to see what goes on tonight. From what I can see here, going to wait for a weather update, but by the looks of it, cloud seems sunny for qualifying, and it looks like we could be having a dry race as well. So it'd be nice to see how these guys do favour the strategies here this evening. We did see a couple on Wednesday. I didn't see too much of the race myself, unfortunately, but from what I gather, the guys had a lot of fun. Important thing here is going to be definitely maximising the most out of onto these tight corners coming onto the long straights. A lot of time to be found around here, and of course not abusing those track limits, of course. So, oh, hello, lost that one there. There we go. So we're going to brave the onboard here, as we're going to ride on board on Sega as he's just coming into the final part of the lap. When I can get the camera settings correct, that'd be even better. There we are. So he's going to bring it in tight coming into the end of the lap now. Here he's going to put up into third as he's going to come around the corner, turn 18 onto the start finish road of the new Lewis Hamilton straight. Takes it flat down into turn 1. He's going to hug the left, he's going to chuck it into the right. Hope the car sticks just over the crest. They're up into turn 2. It's all flat now into one of the main overtaking points come race day, into 3. Really tight right-hander. And then this left-hander, you want to get it right, you want to get maximum traction and speed as you straighten up to go on to the Wellington straight and into the first DRS zone really of the lap at this point here. He's looking all neat and tidy so far. He's using as much of the track as he can do to carry as much speed through, down into the sweeping left at the bottom of Hanger there. And this long, it feels like an eternity for the drivers. You take this right hander, you want to make sure you straighten up, but not too much. You don't want to touch the gravel on the left there. And he's going to come onto the old start-finish straight, which is definitely taking it back some years there. And he's going to chuck it now into this very fast right-handed slight lift, but he's kept it on there, and all 4 wheels in line as well, into one of the fastest and quite tricky parts of the track. We go into Mackett's and Beckett's down here, and we're going to bring it up into, I believe, Chapel. I'm very sorry if I've got the name wrong. I've lost the map in front of me, but onto the Hanger straight, one of the biggest, well, one of the most famous straights when it comes to the calendar. Of course, he's gone purple. It's all looking neat and tidy so far. He's got a nice little battery. He's coming into one of the final parts of the lap now, up over the crest again. He's kept it all neat and tidy, and into the very tricky, nice little left and then double right-hander to round off the lap. And again, doesn't look like he's had any issue with the traction, and we're going to follow Sega DeCoste as he comes across the line there, rounding off with a 1:27.3 to start us off this evening. Going to jump back here and find that I believe there is a McLaren coming round here. James, yeah, he's on a flying lap as well. He's a little bit more battery use. He's going to run up just before he crosses the line. And where is this going to put the McLaren driver? Into P2 with a 1:27.4. Only 1/10 separating these boys behind. And all of a sudden, Old Dad's, I've missed the Ferrari boys there. But Old Dad's with one hell of a lap opening up the round with a 26.1. And just getting out of the way of Prev there, who flies through. And other James as well, beg your pardon, I keep forgetting the names now, but we've got Dazzy Bob now coming through and getting into second with a 26.5. Serves me right for taking a week off, doesn't it? And a nice little bit of traffic there as everything's going to settle down. But I believe we might have the Renault here of Maxi coming round to end his lap. 1:27.4. So far, all the drivers relatively close in regards to splits, to be completely honest. And you got the top 2 guys. These look like they are definitely trying to make the most of what they've got here today, but be even better if I paid attention to the tyres they are on, because I didn't clock the fact that they're all on the medium tyres. Great start. Let's See if we can see one of the Red Bulls here coming around to finish off the lap. Here he is, a letdown estate here. Looks like he's invalidated his initial run, so he's going to be going for it again. Medium tyres, the harder compounds, so he can definitely afford to do the extra run if need be. He's going to go straight on through into T1 again, using all the track there with a little bit of a catch as he comes up over into 2. But that Red Bull looking absolutely fine in the sun here today. Only one driver this evening so far opting with the softs, and I've completely missed a few drivers crossing the line. Apologies there with the Xerxes crossing the line with a 26 flat for the Red Bull team. And CHM bringing his Mercedes across with a 27.9 as well. Just scanning through the order there. Prev with a 27.8 as well. So yeah, these guys are getting very close to the time, so it should make for an interesting race. Apologies for that one there, just make sure I had everything all up and running in regards to the stream as well on my end. Let's see where we're at with everyone, as a letdown estate did come through with the 27.5. So everyone's done their first runs by the looks of it, bar Bino and Blood and Sand. A couple of drivers, yeah, looking like they're opting to go out onto the softer compound now. It's like they've used the mediums for just a quick sight to find out how the cars handle, and now they're going to really push and see how these times can drop. Yellows coming into the final part of the lap here. I think we've got a Red Bull of a letdown estate. May have just run out of fuel a little bit too soon. Jump back on board with Dazzy. It's going to be the first time the car, if I'm not mistaken, to go out across, well, set a lap on these soft tyres if he does keep it all valid, but shouldn't be any issue if the track feels as good as it looks. Grip should not be a problem at all tonight. Make sure he's getting all the heat into the tyres there, getting some weaving going, and a little red light flashing at the back there, saving battery deployment as well. He's going to get everything charged up to temperature as we will ride on board with the McLaren for the first timed run of the session on the softer compound tyre. Let's see how he does. Apologies for the dipping in and out of the commentary here, just want to make sure I've got everything up and running on my end as well. But so far everything looking all nice and smooth, as a unsurprisingly purple first sector coming out at the end of that lap there. End of the first section, bloody hell. He's bringing it onto the back part of the track. Again, this whole section will be interesting to see if he does lift, chucking it into turns 9 here. And like there, but that could have just been the momentum dropping where he was just turning the car. And the quick succession, the left, the right, the left, and then the final right hander before the hanger straight. Again, straightening the car up, not using any of the curb on the left, but he's got a nice driving again. Purple in sector 2 as well. So I think the difference between the tyres, we're looking around about 7/10 in regards to the delta between the mediums and the softs in regards to this one. So it'll be interesting how much he can put between himself and the rest of the pack. He takes a very tight line coming round to the end of the lap here. He takes it flat, just runs out of battery deployment before, but crosses the line with a 25.4, taking top step there by 5/10. So he's played his cards. Who can respond? Let's see if we can find anyone else going around on a lap here. Just trying to find the right cars here. So we've got Bino's on his out lap. Just trying to flick through to find the next car on track. Possibly CHM. No, he's coming into the pits, so that leaves us with the Ferrari of Prev, who's on his out lap. So he's going to start his run on the mediums, going for another attempt on these tyres. Looking like a fresh set, though, by the looks of it. Again, I could be wrong. No, same set as last time. So, interesting. Can the Ferrari drivers get a little bit closer to his teammate, a little bit further up the grid there then? As they come around, only 3 drivers out on track, so a lot of these guys you can see on the screen there with the soft tyres on the car, waiting probably to the last possible moment to make the run, like we see in the real life Formula 1. Prev now coming onto the hanger straight, the RS wide open, getting just over that 200-mile-an-hour mark just before it hits the heavy braking zone into the sweeping left. Again, we could see some good wheel-to-wheel action, pardon the pun, come the race later on, especially with some of these drivers. We've seen how they can race and how good they are on track together, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm just seeing Prev, and he's actually ended the lap early, so I believe the next car on a lap, will be Bino, and then I believe Old Dad's has actually come out now on the fresh softs. So Bino, from what we've seen so far, he's done well. Be interesting to see, can he get the Alpha Tauri a little bit closer to the Ferraris just ahead. Only 3/10 needs to be found around this track, and it can be easily done. Again, going for the mediums, starting outside the top 10 at this stage, you can get a free choice, but he's on a fresh set of rubber as well. Taking a very tight line into 11, 12, 13, and now 14 again, and unfortunately he's invalidated the run. Again, we know these medium tyres can do more than one stint on one outing, so we're just going to jump here to Old Dad's, who is on his first flying lap on the softs. Let's see how he can compare to Dazzy in the McLaren as he comes through Sector 1, purple Sector 1, improving by over 2/10 of a second. Taking a little bit grass on the inside there, but he doesn't look like it's affected him too much there. Nice little quick shift up in the 5th. Making sure he's getting the traction just right to get the car down as quickly as possible. He's going to just chuck it in on the softs, full confidence, not even a lift. And again, it's looking very nice and tidy for the Ferrari so far. Just taking it through the end lap, just want to make sure it doesn't take too much of the curving here, and just so how easy it can be to invalidate the lap here. Touches the curve on the left on the exit to straighten up, and we say down the hanger straight again, up improving 6/10 on his time. Purple in the middle sector. Bring it round to finalise the lap even on the softs. Where is the Ferrari driver going to place his car? It's looked very impressive so far, a little bit deep there, but again he's recovered well. He's got a nice drive coming across the line. Where is the Ferrari driver going to go? He's going to put it provisional pole with a 25.2, clearing it by 2/10 of a second. And shortly behind, by the looks, we've got Dazzy on an out lap, so I believe that is James who's just about to start his lap here. So we're coming into the final couple minutes of qualifying. The driver's starting to show what they can do. So we're now going to ride aboard with James for his attempt of the lap. Down currently in P7, but seen he does have pace. And can he just close up a little bit further to his teammate here? Because, like I say, the constructors, everyone's still going to be wanting to get their points. It'll only be 11 here tonight, but no points mean prizes, or points mean happier drivers. Again, he's got a yellow up in front, a little bit of traffic by the looks of it, but I don't think that should be too much trouble for him, as he should catch the Ferrari and pass it before the next corner. Just about. No, short shift to just drop the speed to chuck the car in. Apologies if I am missing any times being set, which I'm doing my very best here to stay on top of them. It's a little bit deep, but he's using the maximum part of the track to get a nice drive onto the back straight, the hanger straight even. Again, sits a little bit of battery up. He might just have enough to finish the lap off as well at the full pace. Nearly taking it a bit too far over the curves, but again he's kept all four wheels in the track limits. So he's now going to bring it round to the final corner, and where is this going to put James as he puts it down across the line up into P4 with a 26.2. So a brilliant lap there by the McLaren driver, so currently sitting second and fourth, which is what they will be wanting. Again, we saw on Wednesday, and as far as the strategies go around it, there is predominantly a one-stop race with more of an aggressive two-stop. We are going to jump back to his teammate, who is looks like he's going to be going for another run, or have I missed that one there? Yes, it looks like this could be a second attempt on the soft, or he's had a bit of traffic somewhere. He's gone across doing a 27.9. See where this puts him here. And we've got Xerxes as well starting a lap on the soft, so this is where it's going to really test if I can keep an eye on everyone. Right. Two drives in quick succession. This is currently second and third, both on track. Coming up to the 1 minute mark, so any drivers that are in the pits at the moment will not be setting a lap time. So it looks like this. We are going to see, well, 3, possibly 4 cars setting a lap here to round off the session, just to mix it up a bit. Can anyone challenge Old Dad while he sits there on the top step at the moment in P1? Because it could be one of these two drivers here. We know again how quick they are. It's going to be interesting to see who really can, well, who wants to take the advantage now that Cal and Woody have moved on to Wednesdays. Again, he's gone purple in the middle sector, finding another 2.5 tenths, which is what he's going to need if he wants to snatch the P1 on the front row of the grid here. This is going to be the last attempt. I think the clock may run down, but he's not. He's kept it nice and clean there, not got off the track. Again, Dazzy bringing it into the final couple of corners. He's using everything he's got. His foot down nice and early. Nice drive coming across the final corner. Where is it going to put Dazzy? Across the line, and he stays second with a 25.2. And just behind, we're going to have Xerxes in the Red Bull, currently P3. Where is this going to put the God King himself? And he stays P3 with a 25.7, just there. So I believe, unless there is another driver on a lap. So unfortunately, Sega looks like he might have had a little bit of a mistake in validating his run there, and unless Dazzy is going for another run, which he hasn't as well, so he hasn't validated there as well. So that is the qualifying session done here for Silverstone. Just have a quick look. Some very quick times posted and some mixture of strategies as well. Interesting to note, Blood and Santa Maxi there, 5th and 6th, both starting on the medium tyres, surrounded by this little swarm of soft runners. Getting a comment in the chat, so I forgot the hot lap rip. I mean, if it's going to be as close as some of these times are for the race, it should give me a lot to keep an eye on, and these guys are going to keep me busy this evening. Again, no pun intended. So right then, so just to recap on qualifying, we have Old Dad's Rule putting it P1 here at Silverstone with a 25.2. closely followed, and I mean very closely followed by Dazzy in the McLaren, less than a tenth separating the two drivers on the front row. Bringing up row 2, we are going to have Xerxes in the Red Bull, the 25-7 again. Just behind him, we have James in the second McLaren. They're looking strong this evening. P5s and 6, we've got Maxi in the Renault, followed by Blood and Sand in the Haas. Sega to Cos in the Williams, a letdown estate in P8. CHM and Bino rounding out the top 10, and Prev starting, well, we're setting it up on the medium tyres. They're rounding out the 11 drivers here this evening. Again, less than a tenth of a second between 10th and 11th there. Some very close times between these drivers. Really looking forward to see how close they can get here today. So, this is normally part where your normal commentators that do this coverage are very professional, and they look into the standings and the championship standings of the joint constructors. So I'm going to do my very best to see if I can replicate that as well as I can do. So just checking in to the drivers' standings we have here. So at the moment, with the top two drivers that were in the lead of the championship moving up into AL1, effectively taking the reins here, we have Xerxes for Red Bull with 193 points, holding a very nice lead over Old Dad's Rule, taking second, followed by Sega in the Williams. Prev in the second Ferrari, and then a letdown a step following in the Red Bull. Closely following, we do have Strident in the McLaren, Maxi driving the Renault there, Blood and Sand in P10, CHM in P11, James in the McLaren following on P12, and then we do have Silver, Bino, Apoplex rounding out the 15 drivers we have on the sheets. Just bringing it across to the joint constructors championship. So like we do run a wheel to wheel, we do run the normal constructors, but we also have a joint between both splits. Saying that, I'll even check over the AL2 constructors standings. So we do have McLaren, Renault leading the way with 459 points to their name so far. In second place, we do have Red Bull with 346. Very closely followed by the Scuderia Ferrari in third. So only 10 points separating those two constructors. We have Racing Point in P4, Williams in P5, Haas in P6, Mercedes in P7, and then we have Renault in P8, AlphaTauri bringing up 31 points in P9, and currently no points for Alfa Romeo, beg your pardon, in this standings. Looking at the joint constructors standings, we do actually have the leader, the leading team even in this category is the Ferrari team, leading with 730 points combined between AL1 and AL2. In second place, only 31 points behind them, is the Red Bull Racing team. And then just a further couple of points behind, about 51 points behind that again, so 82 points sitting in third, we do have Racing Point. P4 brings up McLaren, P5 is Williams, P6 we have Renault, AlphaTauri 7th, Haas, Mercedes and Alfa Romeo rounding out the 10 teams for the joint constructors. Again, if I do miss anything, please do feel free to let me know with all your lovely choice of words behind on the stream. Besides that, I'll do my very best to keep up to date with it all. Right, there we go. Sorry about the break there. Just getting myself a drink and everything ready to sit down and watch this one along with you guys this evening. At some point we may be joined by Matty, who I believe is on his way back at the moment. If not, you're going to be listening to the lovely sound of my voice for the next hour and a half. You poor souls. So... it looks like earlier with the comment in regards to forgetting the hot lap, that was Xerxes. Forgot to do a hot lap run properly on his softs and advising that he was 2/10 down. So let's see how he can make that back up in the race, as here we go. The cars will be shortly making their way to the grid effectively, or they'll just teleport according to us, and we will see the formation lap begin. It will be interesting when the real calendar does come around to Silverstone this year in 2021, as this, I believe, will be the first... Oh, speak of the devil, there he is. This will be the first race to host one of these new sprint qualifying session formats for the weekend. And as the cars pull away, Old Dads leads them away on their formation lap. And all 11 drivers look like they've gone away all okay. Again, clear skies look like the forecast, or just sunny Silverstone as some people call it, for this evening's race. So this simple one-stop strategy, as we can see there, softs to mediums or softs to hards. Questionable, could be an aggressive two-stop, like I mentioned earlier. You could go soft, medium, soft, or vice versa, or however you wanted to treat yourself in that formation. And I believe we have just been joined by Matty. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, how about you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm glad you've made it, because I need some saving here. And you've made it just in time for the race as well, so you can treat yourself to that one if you want.
Ooh. As on the formation lap, I'm trying to get my stream sorted.
So, there's less than 1/10 of a second separating the top two drivers on the front row of the grid. Oh, Dads and Dazzy.
Wow.
Closely followed by, well, pretty much everyone tailing behind. There was a couple times again within a couple of tenths of each other. Mixed strategies as well. Some of the guys, I believe it's Maxi and Blood and Sand starting on the mediums. Everyone in front on the softs, and I believe it's Sager and Let Down the State are the back two medium runners. So the opening couple of laps, as you probably saw more than I did on Wednesday, without playing to effect.
Yep, should be a fun one. It always is around Silverstone, as we are just about getting ready to race here at one of the most loved tracks around Formula One. So everybody's just finishing up their formation lap. It'll be Old Dads and James in the McLaren on the front row to lead us down into turn one, which can be tricky to go side by side, as it's normally close to flat out, especially in qualifying trim, but to go side by side through there's not really a line for two cars to go nearly as quickly as they will want to. But we'll see how our drivers cope with it. As the 5 lights are on, boogity 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 boys, let's go racing at a World War II airbase. Old Dad leads the charge into turn one. He's got the outside line. James is having a look on the inside, and he makes his way into the lead. James in the McLaren, followed by Old Dad's, then the other McLaren, James Laws. And both McLarens look to be past Old Dad's. By the time they're coming onto the Wellington Straight, Old Dad's falling a few positions here, as now Xerxes makes it past.
Yeah, definitely looks like it was a bit of a tough start for the Ferrari driver. Maybe got caught napping at the start, but yeah, the McLaren drivers did not need any invitation at all to take him at the start. And it looks like Xerxes has just taken advantage of the situation and just followed straight on through.
Yeah, and already you see our soft runners leading the pack, and then Dino down in 11th, also on the softs. We'll see if these soft runners can try and check out here and pull away from the medium runners on the quicker tire.
be interesting to see, considering how much quicker Old Dad's was compared to, well, I say James in the McLaren. James Laws in the McLaren then. He's shown some pace, so I'm surprised he had a bit of a rough start, but I can see him coming back at these top three.
Yeah, he's right on the gearbox of Xerxes in the last couple of corners here. And a little bit of a loose exit from James Laws there, as you see up ahead in second. And no DRS active yet, but Old Dads and Xerxes will want to stay right on the back of James Laws and take advantage of DRS on lap 3. But, oh, Xerxes having a look. He's not waiting for DRS, he's trying to get by now, and he just about got the car stopped in time to avoid a collision there.
Yeah, great awareness by the Red Bull driver. Surprisingly, as well, mine's flashing up here saying about DRS already. Bit of a lock up there for Xerxes, but he's kept it there and he's still in the little sandwich between James and Old Dad's. But all the cars are all pretty much into their DRS train by the looks of it. Minus, well, James at the front, who has just checked out with a 1.8 second lead already over his teammate.
Not much to split the field so far. The biggest gap that anybody has is the gap between first and second already at this stage. And James Laws will be looking behind more than he'll be looking ahead. He's got some defending to do. 2-second gap out in front, but only 0.2 behind as Xerxes right on the back of him through Stowe.
And a couple of drivers, well, 2 medium runners actually, to be fair, just unfortunately picking up with their first penalties for the Grand Prix. But I was just about to say, Maxi was looking pretty racy there. Looks like he was catching up to the back of Old Dad's on the medium tyres. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the soft tyres can do, well, about half the race round there, can't they?
Yeah, very good tyre life around Silverstone. And Xerxes having another look at the inside. And similar to last lap, he just has to get it stopped and turn in before making contact with the McLaren. And now Old Dads might be having a run as they come down the Wellington Straight. DRS for both the Red Bull and the Ferrari and the Renault and the Haas. It's all a big DRS train here all the way back.
Oh, he's later on the brakes up the inside. Old Dad's doing a very late brake up the insider, but Xerxes did see him coming, so he's really wanting to get back past up into the top 3. And he's running all over the back of him now. It's going to come down to his next opportunity, you would probably say, would be the Hangar Straight.
Yeah, and it is difficult to follow through this part of the track through Maggots and Beckett's really high speed, quick corners. You see Old Dad struggling with a bit of dirty air there. But Xerxes getting a great run right on the back of the McLaren, but has to take to the grass to avoid coming into the back of him, and that might open the door for Old Dads as he's inching closer. And a late defensive move from James Laws closes the door on Xerxes, who looked to go around the outside, but nothing doing there for the Red Bull man.
And while one Ferrari's on the move, the other one of Prev was all over the back of CHM coming down the back of Hangar Straight there, so it's looking like he's trying to get his way back up into position as well. But again, on those medium tyres, it's going to be interesting to see what point do those tyres become more favourable in that sense over wear.
Oh, and here goes Xerxes again! In the same corner at turn 3, but he can't get the move done. He's going to have DRS again down the Wellington Straight. Old Dad's still right behind him as well, posing a threat. And here comes Xerxes, switches to the inside. Can he make it stick? A little bit of contact, but Xerxes leaves the space and gets past the McLaren.
That was a very nice move, and he had to get his elbows out there a little bit. He's shown he's wanted to get past the McLaren multiple times now, so he's now got that clear space at a 4.5 second gap to the leader. So if he can just get his head down, he might be able to claw some of that back. But Dazzy James in the other McLaren up front is probably enjoying himself right now with all these 3 squabbling away. He's giving himself a breather.
James Laws, importantly, just stayed inside that 1 second window to Xerxes, so he will have DRS to help defend from Old Dad's behind.
It shows how strong the DRS is though as well, because our medium runners are still just tailing behind, like you mentioned. They're not dropping off as quickly
everybody
as
within a second, all the way down to let down a state. So now, Old Dad will be looking to make a move on James Laws. He's got the pace, put it on pole in qualifying, but not the start, the opening lap, dropping a few positions. But he's not going to be wasting any time trying to make up those positions that he lost, and the best opportunity might come now as James Laws does not have DRS to help defend. Old Dads does have DRS to attack, and he's using a bit of overtake to try and close the gap, but he just ran out of straight there, and James Laws stays ahead for the time being.
We've already seen him a little bit later at the brakes at the end of the Hangar Straight, Wellington Straight even, beg your pardon, so he clearly knows what he can do down there. He'll just be see if James can defend from him, but he's all over the back of that McLaren, practically pushing it around here, just trying to find a way past. It must be frustrating to just see that Red Bull Xerxes just slowly start to disappear up in front.
And here comes the next opportunity onto the second DRS straight. About 4/10 behind, and he's not using any of his overtake this time, Old Dads, as he maybe realized he didn't get the best exit and just wants to save up that overtake and use it in a better situation.
Yeah, and
Sand closing the gap to Maxi as well.
Been too busy focusing on those three, I didn't notice. Oh, we got.
Oh, and there's a spin from Xerxes on the last corner. Spun off on the inside, and how far? Xerxes would drop down the field down into 9th.
Well, to be fair, it's early on, and there's still a lot of laps to go, because I was just about to point out as well, the gap at the front had gone from 4.5 seconds down to 3.5 in the time after he cleared James for second, so he's got pace, and these tyres should be good for a while. And saying that, I believe we've got some wheel-to-wheel going on there between Old Dads and James.
Oh, it's great racing between Old Dads and James Laws. They're still side by side, and Old Dads has spun.
That is the wrong pit lane, boys. That is the wrong pit lane. That one's not in use anymore.
Wing damage on the McLaren on that left side, and then I think Old Dad's got the worst of it. Hitting the wall, big wing damage on that Ferrari as well. And there is a full course caution out. Not sure if it is a
safety car.
Full safety car?
I've got a safety car on mine, popped up on the screen.
There is. Full safety car, by the looks of it.
That'll be enough. That'll be good for, well, too early I'd say to make a stop, but it'll be good for the likes of Xerxes. I know if Old Dads and James need to pit for their repairs. They're not going to drop too far off the back. It is a bit of a long stop round here, one of the longer pit lanes on the calendar.
And there are guys like Old Dads and Xerxes and James Laws to work their way back towards the top, and Old Dads must be thinking, well, if you're going to have to be making those moves to cut your way through, you might as well do it on the quickest tire. So fresh softs on that Ferrari.
I have a feeling I may have just, I think I've had a, oh no, I thought the stream had gone. I thought I'd lost my stream there, but I think we're all still good. Having some technical issues here trying to set this all up. It'll be 2 seconds while I just try and fix all that.
Now then, we did have some early penalties, and we'll talk you through that. This is a track where track limits can be very, very harsh through Maggots and Beckett's, as well as Stowe. If you take the line that even they take in real life, we're using all of that curb, the exit of Cops and Stowe. The game will penalize you. Just for going outside the white lines, the game takes no prisoners, leaves no margin for error, so even if you see our guys taking that exit curb, carrying as much speed as possible, they can get penalized for that. See how that will play out.
Yes. Anyway, let's see if he can get the restart at the front here. Dazzy, Strident, James, McLaren in the front. If he can get his softs up to temperature and see how he handles the restart, because he's got a nice train of cars behind him that are going to be biting at the bit to take him if they can.
Yeah. No margin for error here from Daisy, as he looks to be gone and already pulled a 1 second gap on the restart. And he is pulling away already. Maxi maybe not getting the best restart. You see Sega Takaz going a little bit wide at turn 1.
Just keeping an eye on old Dad's here on the softs just to see how much of a difference this is going to be on the opening lap, considering everyone else on those fresh mediums are going to take a lap or two probably just to get up to temperature and get themselves going again.
He's wasting no time getting on the overtake button.
No,
He's got Dino in front of him on the mediums, but can't quite catch him. Of course, no DRS yet. After the safety car restart, we go 2 laps, and then DRS will be activated once again.
And the other driver on the move here is the other James in the McLaren, all over the back of Prev and the Ferrari, and it looked like he was going to think about setting it up the inside there. He's just going to bide his time, I think.
Prev goes wide.
Oh, he's just handed it to
Prev
him
went
on a
wide, and James had a gap, sent it, and is up into 7th. Very opportunistic there from James Laws. And now back to old Dad's, making a move on Dino down the hanger straight. With a great exit out of Chapel onto the hanger straight, carrying a lot of speed now. The next car for old Dad's is his teammates. We'll see how Ferrari go about handling this. Any team orders is old Dad's on the much preferred tire of the 2 Ferraris, and of course has that pace that we saw in qualifying. So we'll see if his teammate lets him show that pace or decides to fight for his position. And now we have James Laws and CHM going wheel to wheel, a little bit of contact there. Through turns 3 and 4 now. James Laws getting a great exit out of the loop and onto the Wellington straight. And he's going to be late on the brakes. And he is through, up into 6th for James Laws. While the top half of the field just spreading themselves out a bit. Looks like 1 second gaps or more to every car from 1st down to 6th, but then behind James Laws all the way down to the back. Everybody is so close together, and now it's old Dad's making another move. And this time CHM is trying to defend against a Ferrari, and a little bit of contact there. As CHM squeezing old Dad's on the exit of Chapel, and then old Dad's has the inside line at Stowe and is up into 7th. Now we saw old Dad's and James Laws come together, which brought out the safety car just a few laps ago, as old Dad's gets his first time penalty for track limits. Old Dad's will be looking to make another move on James Laws. We will have DRS now as his 3rd lap after the safety car restart. Those fresh softs giving him great grip, and he gets a great exit onto the Wellington straight, and he is already ahead of James Laws and clear before the braking zone. No drama that time. Old Dad's gets ahead of James Laws, up into 6th for the Ferrari man, and he's got his eyes on another one. Just ahead is a letdown estate.
No, those softs definitely, well, he's definitely going well for
further
him.
back. Further back, Xerxes and Prev going wheel to wheel, right behind CHM through cops. Xerxes gets ahead.
So focused on the Ferrari of old Dad's, I've been failing to check the other time splits, to be fair.
There's action all over the place here. Now we saw both Old Dads and Xerxes closing the gap, and now Old Dads is gonna go a long way around in the 3rd to last corner, and I think a letdown estate just had to give way. Didn't have quite the grip that the Ferrari did, and now James Law's attacking him too as they go side by side through Abbey, and a little bit of contact and more contact. A letdown estate getting really loose and now sliding across the track. Oh, it's so unfortunate for a letdown estate.
Very quick and impressive reactions there by CHM as he looked like he was going to defend from a late break from Xerxes, and he had to last minute swerve as there was the other Red Bulls sideways in front of him. So it was good to avoid that.
The other Red Bull and Xerxes making a move on CHM. It's all happening here at Silverstone. Already 12 laps gone. And so much has happened. Now Prev and Dino both right behind CHM. CHM might have some more defending to do here. As we come through Maggots and Beckett's. A little bit of a DRS train between CHM, Prev, and Dino. CHM just about sticking within DRS range of Xerxes in front. Further ahead, we're seeing Blood and Sand sticking within 1 second of Maxi in the Renault. So, it's the only driver in the top half of the field to be within DRS range.
I was going to say, he's kept that 5/10 gap ever since the restart, and these were the highest two runners on the medium tyres as well at the beginning, so we've seen Blood and Sand at many a time starting nearer the back and ending up all of a sudden in the top half of the pack, fighting away just due to a different strategy or other stuff going on, or as Bloom would probably say, pure pandemonium happening elsewhere.
Now further back, Prev looking to have a move. And Dino also having a look down the inside at Brooklands and now through Luffield. Nobody making any overtakes through there, but it was very tight. And now they spread out a little bit down the old pit straight and into Cops. Now further ahead, Blood and Sand with DRS. Not much overtake to work with. He tries to close the gap to the Renault down the hanger straight. Straight to work with Blood and Sand.
Yeah. Him and Maxi both looking like they're using all their battery, and to be fair, just had a quick look at the guy up in front with his 5-second lead nearly now, and again he's not letting off. He's using all that battery pretty much every lap by the looks of it to just break away as much as he can, because come the stops on the second half of this race, he will be on the slower tyre compared to these other drivers that are just going to be eking out so they can end it on those nice red soft compound tyres. Yeah,
it's important for Daisy to be taking advantage of those tires while he's got them and trying to extend that gap as much as possible. Of course, he's hurt by the safety car because he was pulling a nice gap, but he's wasting no time extending that gap once again as we see Xerxes and James Laws battling down the Wellington Straight. James Laws stays front for the time being, but Xerxes looking very racy in that Red Bull, looking to make his way back through the field.
Oh, Dad's slowly starting to get onto the back of Sega, so it's down to half a second now. Again, those soft tyres were half the age of the mediums on that of the Williams in front. And once he clears that, he's going to have a nice little bit of a open track again before he gets back up into, well, we're on top 3 runners here, but he's, yeah, Dull Dads, James and Xerxes, all 3 drivers that we saw at the front are all clawing their way back through, which is providing us some great racing.
Nearly a move there for Xerxes. We'll see if
the Meteo stream, the quality is probably holding up a little bit better there. I do apologise. See if I can get myself back into this one. just to say that again, if this is all still running and anyone's here, please, if you could just go to YouTube and follow Matt Rush. Matto, his channel, he's currently running the stream and still commentating like normal. I'll be trying to get mine back up and running momentarily.
Will benefit those guys that just came into pit.
Sorry about that. I'm really glad you're here. Right.
We have our second safety car, so good timing for you to take a short
commercial
internet break.
Yeah. I believe Mark said he had an issue with his wheel. I let down a state. Don't know what happened.
Yeah, that was what caused. I didn't see what happened, but that is why the safety car came out. Fortunately, he DNF'd just moments ago. But we had plenty of pit stops under the safety car, so it has been all jumbled up once again. Blood and Sand is now our race leader.
Just running out there on a letdown estate, so he's just put on there. His wheel and pedals just completely locked up and were unresponsive, and he went straight on at Stowe, into Stowe.
Blood and Sand now coming in on the second lap under the safety car, and that is going to put him all the way at the back of the field.
Was he past the pits when it came out? Or is this his first chance to get in?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not. I don't believe so. I think everybody had the chance to come in because James and the McLaren out in front came in. He was the first of those that pit. So everybody had the opportunity, but Blood and Sand waiting a lap, and now that's put him all the way down in 10th. As we saw,
sorry,
those around him that pit, Maxi and the Renault came out in 8th. Sega Takals came out in 9th. So Blood and Sand would have been maybe ahead of those guys coming out of the pits, but is now behind. But I guess he just wanted his fresh softs.
Aggressive two-stop, maybe. I'm just trying to think really for Blood and Sand, but just having a quick look there. A lot's changed since clearly my commercial break in that sense. But CHM and Dazzy, I don't know if you have crossed over this. Apologies if I'm repeating it at all, but yeah, only 2 without any penalties so far.
Yeah, it could be key.
Yeah, we've got quite a few. I think there's only 3-4 drivers on 1 at the moment. Xerxes still carrying that 5-second from the pits earlier, but James with 2, James Laws with 2.
Get your opinion on this. If you were Xerxes with that 5-second penalty, you're on 10-lap old mediums. Mediums can go a maximum of 59 laps, so it would be hard to take those mediums to the end. But if you pit under this safety car, you can serve your 5 seconds, as well as get onto a fresh set of mediums, which could easily go to the end. Would that not have been maybe something that Xerxes thought about?
I mean,
now
yes.
the safety car coming in.
The safety, that's a thing. That would have been a very good call, to be fair, actually. Like I say, I'm just trying to reconvene and find out where everyone's at. But yeah, if I couldn't remember if the game allows you to take the 5 seconds under the safety car.
I
but
believe
if it does,
you can.
Then yeah, that would have been definitely a good one. But shows how much of a mix-up there's been, because now Old Dads is leading the pack away on the safety car restart.
On fresh sauce, so another stop to come for Old Dads, likely for Xerxes. But Old Dads leads them away at the restart. He'll be looking to build that gap on the soft tire. Now we already have some changing in position as James Laws lets his teammate by. And then, they're all going side by side through the loop. Maxi having to avoid a collision there, and Prev dropping back a couple places.
Dropped 2 positions in 1 corner due to that, unfortunately. But Maxi's looking racy on those softs. Definitely on the restart.
Blood and Sand also getting past Prev. Maxi pitting at the same time as Sega, but going on different tires. He will have that grip advantage over Sega Takala's in front, as he is right behind him as they come into Maggots and Beckett's.
So either the guys that have just gone onto softs are either going for the 2-stop, committing, or at this rate we've had 2 safety cars, possibly a third?
Yeah, as I mentioned right when the safety car came out, there's all these different strategies. There's no telling what might happen. Don't bet against another safety car at some point in this race. We've already had 2. Just not even at the halfway point of this race.
So it feels like it's been a lot more of the race. It's amazing how much has happened in just so few laps.
Oh, and Sega going a bit wide there. At turn 1, maybe opening the door for Maxi. He's going to have to go down the inside. Can he get the car turned in? Not quite enough, and Sega's able to defend his position for the time being.
Just riding on board with Dazzy here as well. He's all over the back of Xerxes as they come down at the Wellington straight there. About 10 laps difference in the 2 sets of mediums on the car set. And all this is just allowing Old Dads just to slowly eke out on those softs. I can imagine this. The McLaren's definitely going to be trying everything right now to get past him, especially on the fresh rubber as well.
Yeah, just 3/10 back, but everybody seems to be right on the back of the car in front as we come down to Blood and Sand, who loses it through Maggots, and he just about keeps it on the track, but he got really loose, and that cost him a position and a lot of time.
CHM and Sega. Looks like he's making the move up the inside. No, not quite. Last minute. Thinks better of it. There's 2 little trains here going on, and the DRS has only just come available, so it's just going to add more to it, I think.
Yeah, this might be what Daisy needed, and McLaren to make his way past Xerxes. They come through the loop.
Tell you, and CHM's been tagged and he's hit Sega! Coming through too. It looked like he got a slight little bump from behind, which unsettled the car, and as he caught the spin, he came straight back across and hit the side pod on the Williams. So that is some front wing damage on the Mercedes. I don't know if Sega took any. His front wing looks fine, but very unfortunate. They would roll over the back of his gearbox as he was coming up over the crest into 3.
Still some battling happening all throughout the field, as Maxi is now right on the back of Sega Takaz as they come into cops. As well as further ahead, Daisy on the back of Xerxes. And dealing with that dirty air through Maggots and Beckets, Daisy picks up his first track limits penalty.
It just shows how much he's pushing. I think we've all succumbed to the penalty here or there when it comes to really trying to get past someone. You know, you sit behind them for a couple of laps and you just think, I just want to get past them now. You get a bit tired of staring at the back of them. And right now, that rear of that Red Bull is just going to be teasing him constantly. He obviously feels like he can go faster. He feels like he's got the pace. But he's just not finding his way around. Xerxes is doing a stellar job in just placing the car where it needs to be to defend.
Blood and Sand right on the back of Prev. He's going to send it down the inside. Little bit of contact, but plenty of space left by the Haas. And Blood and Sand is up into 8th.
It looks like everyone's just starting to calm down a little bit, dare I say it. We've got a couple 1 second plus gaps forming, so the DRS trains are starting to dilute as CHM put a fresh set of softs on, so he's going to see what he can do now. Definitely going to be hoping for another safety car down in the Mercedes garage today.
And a little train forming as Xerxes is pulled a second to Daisy behind, but behind Dino we have a couple of cars within DRS range of each other. It's Sega in the Williams, followed by Maxi in the Renault, but Sega getting onto the grass there at Chapel, and that opens the door for Maxi, who doesn't need a second invitation. He's challenging him down the hanger straight. DRS for both cars as they're going to go side by side into Stowe. Maxi trying to hang it out around the outside, and does so beautifully. They're still side by side into the Vale chicane. Sega fighting back and is through around the outside. Brilliant driving from Sega Takaz.
What makes that so much more impressive is he ran out of battery deployment about 3 corners before. So that was all just pure him just braking as late as he could to keep the pace there.
So Sega defending brilliantly, but he's going to have to do it again as another DRS zone for Maxi to take advantage of, and Sega getting on the grass once again, and that opens the door, but Maxi's not quite alongside, and he just has to back off a little bit, but Sega running a bit deep, and he's still got the nose of that Renault right there, where any bit of a mistake from Sega, he's ready to pounce.
And right behind Maxi, he's got blood there as well, so if he goes for a move and it doesn't work, he could drop a position. Just as I say that, Blood and Sand is going to run side by side, and he just gets the move done before the apex.
Incredible.
That's an all or nothing move, though, definitely. Gotta trust the people you're racing to pull off something like that.
This is fantastic racing, and now Blood and Sand will try his luck chasing down Sega Takaz. See if he can clear that Williams. He's looked so strong in his defensive driving these last couple of laps.
And while that's happened between those two as well, Sega's managed to get himself back within that 1 second window of Bino in front. So he's going to have the DRS to help him defend, which he actually lost earlier when battling with Maxi. So he's had a little bit of a breather now, but I think they're both going to come back at him very quick as they're already there. Less than a second separate all three.
There. I think there might be an issue for James Laws as Dino is now right on the back of him. There was a 1 second gap or thereabout at the start of the lap, but Dino right on the back of him as they come through Brooklands. And now, looking back at Maxi and Blood and Sand side by side all the way around Luffield.
It's so close. And now we've got this queue forming behind James Laws of these 4 or 5 drivers that are just all going to be trying to get there. Now this is all of a sudden for fourth position on track.
When cars are going to be dealing with so much turbulent air through here, and they're all going to have DRS, so that same aero effect that will be hurting them in the corners will help them down the hangar straight. And it's Sega Takaz having a look at the inside, but not quite close enough to have a move. But he goes a little bit deep on the turn-in point, and that opens the door for Blood and Sand to maybe stick his nose in and have a look, but not quite enough of a gap there for Blood and Sand.
If you're in Blood and Sand's position on Maxi's right now, all of a sudden you can now see fourth place just there, and you're on these fresh tyres. You must be getting, wanting to make the move, and like I say that, he's just going around the outside of Sega, which turns to the inside. Sega just a little bit later on the brakes, holding the line.
And here comes Maxi! It's all happening.
Just trying to ride on board with them because some of these camera angles are shocking, but Sega's now turning that defence into an attack on Dino, and he's just going to clear the AlphaTauri into the end of Wellington Straight. So now all of a sudden Dino's going to have the likes of Blood and Sand and Maxi all over the back of him, and they're going to want to get past him as soon as possible. And again,
there goes
a little bit wide. So
Blood and Sand, and here goes Maxi. They're both passed. One little mistake from Dino, and two places go just like that. It's incredible. No margin for error for these drivers right now.
And just to point out a gap that's dropped a lot, which I've only just noticed, is Xerxes.
Yep.
Half a second off old Dad's. He's bringing it into the pits now to put on some fresh tyres. So now we have a new race leader in the Red Bull. But now, if anything, that just makes that battle we were just seeing is now for third position on track. James Law's a little bit of a breather, 1.5 seconds now to Sega, but I can't imagine it's going to be long before the likes of Sega, Blood and Sand and Maxi are right on the back of that McLaren again. To be fair, if Sega gets a chance to get there, because I don't think Blood's going to let him get there first. He's already pushing that Williams round.
He's going to have DRS here after these couple of corners. No DRS for Sega Takaz, which is crucial, as we've seen how difficult it is to make an overtake when the car in front has DRS on its own. But a good exit from Sega Takaz onto the Wellington Straight, and there's a pretty big gap there, and it's closing, but not nearly enough for Blood and Sand to have a go into Brooklands. So
sorry.
Everybody stays put for the time being.
Just going to touch on the fact that old Dad's now come out on a fresh set of mediums, so you would think that they would easily go to the end here now. He's done over the half, well, he's done exactly half race distance on the softs. So it's just going to be what's happening with the strategies all around him. The car in front of him on track, 7 seconds ahead, but it is his teammate. Can't imagine there'd be much of a fight going on there.
Blood and Sand making a mistake at Chapel, coming onto the hangar straight, and Maxi wastes no time and makes him pay.
And Prev's followed straight through, doing the same thing, passing Dino. So...
Oh, and there goes Maxi into the pits. Maybe Maxi seeing the strategy of old Dad's, wanting to get onto those fresh mediums to go the rest of the way.
So I say, I didn't see him have any damage, so... Because it's a bit of a longer pit straight to... It's not something you can just kind of change on the fly really round here, but he's going to have the pace, and he's got something there that he wants to try out, and as you've called it, straight onto a fresh set of mediums. So, yeah, taking it to the end now. It'll be interesting to see if Blood and Sand does react to that. Same with the likes of Xerxes as well. Some of these drivers that are crossing over nearly the 20 lap mark on their tyres, if not over, like Prev, they're definitely going to be coming up to the pit window shortly, and because of the safety cars, they're all still relatively bunched together, minus our leading duo, which are only separated by 1.5 seconds now.
So many different strategies that are going to play out here, and a safety car or even a VSC could change the whole picture of this race. And now Sega Takaz has closed that gap to the McLaren in front. He's going to have DRS down the hangar straight. Little dip of a wheel onto the grass from James Laws as they come onto the hangar straight. Sega Takaz has got the pace. He's going to try it the long way around, just backs out a little bit. And he's still behind that McLaren into the last couple of corners. James Law's defending well.
And what this has done is just once again brought the Haas of Blood and Sand right onto the back of the pair. So this is now going to turn into a nice three-way battle again with the same drivers. Again, at Blood and Sand, the only driver on the softs, which again you would think statistically, on paper, your money would be on the Haas right now to clear these guys, but they are just placing their cars exactly where they need to be.
You see how much grip Blood and Sand had through the loop, got right on the back of Saget's cars, but then straight line speed that Williams along with the help of DRS, making it very difficult for Blood and Sand to make a move at the overtake.
Only got, so I guess a little bit of a kick there coming out of Luffield, I believe that is. I should know these track corners. Yeah, getting a bit of a bit of a slide going, so he's managed to keep that. And Blood, unfortunately, picking up another penalty to add to the collection. So yeah, these penalties are definitely going to spice it up at the end, especially if we get a late safety car.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, Old Dad's making his way past Dino further down on those fresh mediums. The Old Dad's looking to make his way through the pack, will likely be on those mediums to the end. Saget's cars not close enough this time around to get alongside into Stowe. Great defensive driving on much older tires from James Laws here. You would have put your money on Saget's cars and Blood and Sand to work their way past somehow, but some good defensive driving from James Laws, and he's kept that last podium place here.
Seems to be the same happening kind of throughout the field in that sense, because Xerxes, who's out in front, I mentioned a couple laps ago, is down to 1.5 seconds, but he's actually held that gap there. He's on 10 lap older mediums, and he's actually managing to keep Daisy where he is in P2. He's not letting him get within that DRS zone at all. He's managing it well.
I wonder how much the dirty air affecting these drivers, because it seems like maybe on the exit of some of these corners onto the DRS straights, especially through Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel, the hanger straight, they're just not able to get the drive that they need coming onto the DRS straights to really have a clean overtake, even though they might have to pace through most of the lap. As we see Sega coming into that part of the track here, you just see him going wide and fighting the car so much due to that dirty air. But a better exit this time, and he's got a little bit of overtake to work with, so he is closing the gap. With DRS, he's going to try it down the inside this time. He's alongside on corner entries. James Laws is trying to fight it all the way, but Sega is through and James Laws is into the pits.
I think it was a matter of time. I think as soon as he got caught there, he was just going to get past, then chuck it in. There's no point fighting that, I think, on track, as they are clearly on two different strategies. Just a quick update on the penalty situation as well. We've had no change between the front two, but we do have Sega who's on 6 seconds worth of penalties, and Blood and Sand is currently on 21. So if I remember how the game works correctly, could be 2 or 3 more, and it could be an early end to the Haas drivers race with a disqualification.
I've got teammates going side by side down the Wellington straight, but Prev not fighting that one too hard. It's purple sector 1 for Old Dads to help with that DRS. All those fresh mediums already back up in the 5th, and I'll tell you what, Old Dads on a good strategy here to take those mediums right to the end. I wonder what their strategies are going to be in front. He might have to pace to get 2nd or 3rd here.
Well, to be fair, if our leader pits at the moment, you're looking at about 25-second gap, give or take. 2 Old Dads in 5th, which I'm pretty confident around here would be enough to put him behind. So if anyone pits in front of Old Dads right now, he's on the fresher rubber compared to everyone, bar 2 other drivers on track. Yeah, he's in prime position to set himself up for the last 20 odd laps of this race. He's just got to keep it clean.
Blood and Sand getting past Saget's cars there on those soft tires. He's had the pace advantage, but now that James Laws has been in the pits, which means Saget's does not have that DRS to help defend, so Blood and Sand taking that opportunity and getting himself up into third.
It'll be interesting to see now the straight line speed of that Williams and how he does get those drives, if he can fight back, or was it purely just the DRS that was helping him out?
I think the tire difference, along with that dirty air through some of these corners, might make it very difficult for Saget's to stay within that 1 second gap, but he's doing well so far, hovering right around 1 second.
Just riding on board with our leader, and as I say that, he's into the pits, so that is going to release the McLaren of Dazzy, who was about 2.3 behind, so Xerxes definitely putting his foot down, pumping in the quicker lap times coming the end of his stint here.
So I would assume the soft tire for Xerxes.
It's got to be the Red Bull tyres going on this car now. But just keeping an eye on old Daz to see where he's going to come out in in comparison. He's behind Sega and Blood and Sand at the moment, so he's getting held up a little bit, but purple final sector, and yeah, there he goes. He's past Xerxes and he's already through 1 and 2.
It is such a long pit lane, this one, isn't it? I thought maybe he would come out right amongst this group, and at most tracks he probably would have, but it's such a long, slow pit stop here, and he comes out several seconds behind Prev, who's several seconds behind this group. Yes. Old Dad's now looking on the attack.
Well, he was about 25 seconds ahead of Old Dad's, and he's come out the pits about 10 seconds behind. So that is that is an eternity just to change a set of tyres. Saying that, he did have a 5-second stop go.
Ooh, that is true.
Which he would have served. So doesn't help the deficit now, but he's on the quicker rubber. He's on the freshest tyres on track right now, and he's shown he's got pace. 20 laps to go. Let's see what this Red Bull driver can do.
Yep. For now, we're going to see what Old Dad's can do, as he's right on the back of Saget's through Beckett's and Beckett's, and he will have DRS down the hanger straight, but Saget's having DRS of his own, and Old Dad's not having that much overtake to work with, as you see Saget's just inching ahead, but Old Dad's fighting it through Stowe. He's got the inside line and he's through up into third.
And in doing so, I think he may have crossed the white line there or something, because he's just picked up a penalty as well, either just before or just during that manoeuvre. Didn't have the right camera angle, thank you Codemasters. But again, setting a purple third sector, and Sega picking up a penalty as well. Maybe it is a good job I only did 2 laps on Wednesday, because I don't think I'd have finished this race if these guys are picking up this many.
Prev now coming in for his first pit stop today. I think he's the only driver to be doing a 1-stop. Maybe, I think, Daisy in the McLaren as well, doing a 1-stop. You see Old Dad's now right on the back of the Haas, wasting no time, having a go at making another move. He's using every bit of overtake he's got, and he's going to challenge him down the old pit straight. He's got the inside line as they come into cops, and he is through if he can keep it on the track, but a little switcheroo by Blood and Sand.
Oh, brilliant driving. I thought Blood and Sand was actually getting out the way, not wanting to fight, as those softs might just go to the end. But, yeah, and okay. Our race leader, who's really kind of run away with everything from the beginning in that sense, into the pits, and in doing so, has picked up a 5-second penalty.
Old Dad's still trying to make his way past the Haas, which will inherit the race lead here in just a few moments, as Daisy throws on a fresh set of softs. So
the question will be, is where will Daisy come out compared to Xerxes, because they're about a 2.5 second gap. As the McLaren driver is just leaving the pits, and Xerxes and the Red Bull is just chucking it into 1 and 2, so he has cleared the McLaren, but the gap is around the 1.5 second mark. So
now then, this battle is for the lead. It's Old Dad's and Blood and Sand down the Wellington Straight.
Oh, phenomenal.
This is fantastic from all of our boys here in AL2.
Oh, and
Putting on a
Sega's
great
sitting there as
show.
well, just watching these guys go at it.
He's just picking up the free DRS, having a good show.
Well, importantly, it's keeping him. He's staying away, and only now 5 seconds or 5.5 nearly behind this group. We've got Xerxes, and then just following that we have Dazzy. So,
I mean,
this could
this
be a
race
very
could go
close
anywhere.
end.
There's 5 different drivers who could win this race, but right now it's looking like Old Dad's is going to take the lead. He got a great exit out of Chapel. He's got DRS down the hanger straight, and he's made his way past Blood and Sand and taken the race lead.
He definitely made that look easy. He's you could tell he wanted to make that one, and as we said, that
Blood and Sand is in.
Right, and has picked up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits. It's a bit of a tricky entry because you do come at it at so much speed, and I think you can just misjudge how early that line actually is, which just adds to the eternity of the pit lane.
It is unnecessarily early, that speed limit line, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Which just is what makes it such a slow pit stop, because most tracks you see the white line for the speed limit is right on the entry of where the pit boxes start, whereas here it's right as you branch off from the racetrack.
As soon as you leave the track,
you gotta
it's there.
slow down immediately.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just double checking it here, because Xerxes is reeling them in now at down to 3.5 seconds, and the penalty situation is definitely going to play a factor here. Old Dad's needed to make those moves early on. Old Dad's sitting on 6 seconds, Sega's sitting on 9, Xerxes sitting on 3, and then just behind them obviously Dazzy, he's sitting on 8, unfortunately, with the 5 seconds he picked up for the pit lane incident. And by the looks of it, we've got Blood and Sand. James Law's having a bit of a squabble there. I think it looks like James Law may have gone a little bit deep at one point, and Blood and Sand's up in a 7th.
We need one of those AWS graphics to tell us how many laps it's going to be before Xerxes catches the back of that Williams. And the difficulty of the overtake is Blood and Sand had a little moment there in the second sector. Yellow flags came out for a brief moment. James Law is able to get back into 7th.
That is
Blood
not
and
going to
Sand
help you.
losing a little bit more time.
Yeah, it's not going to help the fresh set of tires he's put on. But how long until the God King does strike?
The only man within DRS range of the car in front, just about around that 1 second mark, is Maxi behind Dino, and he will get DRS down the Wellington straight.
I mean,
likely too far back to have a go, but
Dino's actually having a very strong race. Only done a couple races in this league, and to be up in 5th at the moment, okay, different strategies around him, but he's still going. He's up there. He's got the track position at the moment, and with only a handful of laps really in that sense to go, he's done well this evening. Very good drive.
yeah, he has. He's had his fair share of battling to do and defending as well, but he's been able to keep the car on the track and have decent pace while he's at it. So I'd say a really good drive for one of our newer members here at Wheel to Wheel.
Well, just like that. Well, Maxi looks like he's going to make a move going down the end of hanger. He thinks better of it, and in saying so, Xerxes is now within the 1 second window of Sega. So he's hunting the Williams down, and then 4 seconds up the road is the Ferrari of Old Dad's. 15 to go. Is it doable?
It is DRS time for the Red Bull. Just saving his overtake. I think he understood that he was a little bit too far back that time around to really have a move into Brooklands. Now we see Maxi right on the back of Dino in the AlphaTauri. Maxi wasting no time, getting on the overtake button. He's got DRS open down the Wellington straight. He's got great straight line speed, closes that gap, gets alongside. He's got the inside line, and he is through up into 5th.
Oh, and saying that, Xerxes has just done one hell of a move up the inside on Sega. I just literally cut and saw the front of the Red Bull going across the front of the Williams. That was one hell of a move. I wish I'd caught that fully now. So just like that.
Too much happening.
I was going to say, 2 moves happening on track at the exact same time. Was not expecting a move to be done there. I was expecting it to be done later on, but Sega's in now as well. So now we've got the top 3, running as old Dad's in the Ferrari, Xerxes in the Red Bull, and then Dazzy in the McLaren. The latter two, running on fresh softs. So can old Dad's hold on to what he's got? I'd say 14 to go. The fresher rubber is behind him, but we know old Dad's has got some pace and he's got clear track in front.
Yeah, and of course the penalties will be a factor. Let's see Sega dropping down a few positions, that long pit lane. But of course, no matter what the penalty situation is, all of our drivers will want to get the move done on track, show they've got the pace.
Oh yeah, you want to cross the line first if you can, even if the penalties do end up changing the scenario. It means a lot more.
And Sega's cause coming out right in front of Blood and Sand. So after 2 laps, Blood and Sand right back to where he was, right behind Sega's cause.
Who, ironically, is now behind James Laws again. So it's the same 3. All joined nose to tail.
These 3 just can't get away from each other now. Both Sega and Blood and Sand will have DRS down the hangar straight as James Law's getting a little bit out of sorts through Beckett's, going onto the grass, and that meant Sega had to lift off a little bit, which opens the door for Blood and Sand to get 2 cars on one straight. He's going around the outside, and Sega Takaz is going to fight it all the way.
Oh, brilliant.
But Blood and Sand is through. Sega Takaz
James
also
is coming
getting
back
ahead.
At Sega. No, bit of an elbows out manoeuvre there. All the car and a little bit more to persuade to get the move done there on Sega, but no, it's good racing. Tell you what, that was very daunting, riding on board with James Lawson, looking behind and seeing the Haas and the Williams just gaining and gaining and gaining either side was very daunting.
Brilliant from Blood and Sand to take that opportunity to get both cars, not wasting any time getting those moves done.
I think Sega's now just want to clear the McLaren now after the making the move and then losing it back, and now the time you can see is dropped to Blood and Sand just from having to battle a little bit more with the McLaren. It's definitely want to get back into it, but jumping back to the front, gap down to 2 seconds between our race leader and the chasing duo in that sense. So it's going to be getting close, but it'll be within a handful of laps surely before we're going to start seeing a battle for the lead on track. And Dazzy is going to be hoping that Xerxes can get held up maybe a little bit by the Ferrari to just bring him into contention as well, and we can end up with another little 3-way for the lead.
Exactly, and I think we've seen old Dads in the past have great straight line speed. He is on the older tire and the less ideal tire, being on mediums. So he's at a disadvantage there, but we've seen him in the past set up his car to have great straight line speed, which will make him very difficult to pass, even with DRS. So, as you say, Daisy will be hoping that Xerxes struggles a little bit and isn't able to get the move done first time of asking. That'll give Daisy the opportunity to close that 3-second gap he currently has.
Oh, definitely. And just to touch back on Dino again there, 32 laps he's done on those mediums, and he's still sat there in P5. After all of this, with the extra pit stops and all this battling, the AlphaTauri is doing a strong drive here with some good points.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. His strategy, because according to Pirelli, those mediums do a maximum of 39 laps. So going to the end would take him over that limit, but of course, whatever Pirelli say seems to be wrong for one way or the other.
Especially around this track.
Who knows?
As well.
Yeah. As we saw in real life as well.
too many punches. I've never seen so many punches in one race, to be fair. I think it was 2013, that was. All the tyres exploding on the cars. First time Pirelli changed their compound and had to change it within 2 weeks, I think, for the next race.
Now Blood and Sand closing the gap to Dino in the AlphaTauri. He's going to have a look at the inside, but Dino does well to stay ahead through Stowe. But
Sega's getting involved as well.
Much better drive. Oh, they're nearly 3 wide through the Bell chicane and now into Club. They've all sorted themselves out single file once again.
Jesus.
But Blood and Sand getting back alongside as they come into turn 1.
Brilliant racing.
Blood and Sand up into 5th.
And it's
and now
offset
here
Dino.
comes Sega's cars. Oh.
Oh. You try and keep an eye on one move and something else happens a split second later. And now, importantly, sorry, I was going to say, Xerxes is now within that 1 second window of our race leader as they're coming onto the hangar straight. So this will be the first time he's going to get DRS on the Ferrari.
Brilliant between Sega and Dino going side by side through Brooklands there. Sega has got the move done through left field.
I mean, if you look at the tyre difference as well between like less than 5 lap old softs and 33 lap old mediums, Dino has done really well to fight those guys like he has.
Great driving and kept it clean as well from the looks of it. So now just half a second between Xerxes and our race leader, the man who was on pole. Didn't have a good start, but he's done really well to work his way back to the top. It's that's in the Ferrari. He's got some defending to do here.
The God King is going to be licking his lips at this bit here, definitely.
Opting to just save up that overtake. He's a little far back than he would have liked to have a go. So he just opts to sit behind and maybe have a go down the hangar straight later in the lap. But
I was going to say,
good exit out of left field.
He's a little bit later on the brakes, probably because of the tyres and the grip. Coming out to the end of hangar straight. Sorry, he's definitely got a bit more pace there, so it could be more beneficial for him if he does make the move there to try and break that 1 second gap as soon as he can, rather than maybe this part of the track. I don't know. He's clearly got a plan, but he's executing it well.
Yeah, once again saving up that overtake. He did fall back a couple of tenths through that middle sector, so maybe not as close as he would have liked coming out of Maggots and Beckett's. Old Dad's doing well to save up his overtake as well.
And the saga of Sega and Blood and Sand still continues as half a second separate these two drivers on track. So, battle for 5th is still going.
The purple sector 3 for Xerxes, and that's showing the pace he's got right now.
It is interesting to note that Daisy 4 seconds behind. So clearly isn't finding the pace or the groove, or something's happened there to the McLaren, because they're not showing the pace that they had earlier on today.
Yeah, you thought at this point when Xerxes is struggling to get past, a little mistake there from Old Dad's, dipping a wheel in the grass. But this was what Daisy needed to really close the gap to Xerxes, and he hasn't really taken advantage of it like we thought he might. Over 4 seconds still, the gap, and Xerxes is right on the back. He's going to try and go alongside Old Dad's into Maggots and Beckett's, and he just opts to sit behind and maybe have a go down the hangar straight.
Yeah, I think he's got the best part of 9 laps to pick his move, but I don't think he's going to want 9 laps. He's going to want about 9 seconds, as he's going to try around the outside. No, try the switchback maybe. He's got such a good drive coming into this final chicane. He's going to look at it down the outside in the Red Bull, and is he going to try and get him down the start-finish straight, maybe line up for a nice drive? He's definitely got the traction on that car. And once again,
Old Dad's placing his car in the perfect position there all through the last sector.
Oh. Xerxes is going to be seeing red literally and probably metaphorically as well at this stage, because he's going to be wanting to clear that car. Oh, and a little mistake from Old Dad's. This is going to be it. Oh, Xerxes had to take avoiding action, go off track, but he's got the DRS back on track, and he's made the move, done, down at the Wellington straight. And that is up into P1 now, but he's gone a little bit deep at the end there, and that's brought Old Dads, who's definitely not going to need a second invitation if he gets an opportunity to take that back. So it'll be interesting to see, can he even launch some form of attack while this has been going on. Daisy down to under 3 seconds now, so he's gained about a second while these two have been fighting up front.
It will be vital for Old Dads to maybe stick right on the back of Xerxes. Dealing with that dirty air through these corners would be so difficult, and you see the understeer there on the last bit of that middle sector.
That Ferrari is looking quick in a straight line just generally. We saw how hard it was for the Red Bull to close up to the back of him, even with DRS, so even like that he was over half a second behind, just like that after DRS. There's 2 tenths in it as they come into the final chicane. So Old Dads is not going down without a fight. Interesting one as well. I believe Sega actually got past Blood and Sand there. I missed that one unless you caught that. But Sega has broken free, and he has finally gotten rid of the person that's been conjoined at his hip for the entire race of Blood and Sand on his soft tyres.
Old Dad's doing well to stick with Xerxes here. Around about 6 tenths behind. There's still DRS for the Ferrari. Gap now up to 8 tenths, up to 9 tenths, and this will be the moment. Xerxes will want to break DRS. Old Dad's
He's got
just
DRS again.
Within the window.
He's not letting him go.
Yeah, and that gap will shrink down the hangar straight. As we see James Laws and Dino further back. James Laws getting through there. Krev also will be looking to have a go. Fastest lap of the race for Xerxes, and that makes it even more impressive that Old Dads has only dropped a couple of tenths here this lap.
I think he's needing to right now just to stay in second, because I think if he drops out that DRS zone, the pace on the softs, you would think for Daisy and the McLaren would be strong enough to close and reel him in, you know, with 6 to go.
Down now we have Krev making a move on Dino in the AlphaTauri, and it's been a valiant effort by Dino on those medium tires, but I think they're just got no grip whatsoever left at this point. Blood and Sand is now in the pits,
and unfortunately picked up a 5 seconds speeding of the pit lane penalty as well when coming in, so that line really is catching people out. But fresh set of softs, serving is 5 seconds, or just waiting, I was going to say, because he that looked like a bit of a longer stop, but maybe just going for the fastest lap of the race, because top 10 do qualify, I believe. So
yep, everything maybe seems to have settled down here as we come to the closing laps. It's been a wild race, action from start to finish. Xerxes taking the lead just a couple laps ago, but Old Dad's on the older tires, on the harder tires, is not letting him go. Still right around DRS range. Don't think he'll get it this time around, but he's right at that 1 second mark now, under a second as they come onto the Wellington straight. So now Prev closing the gap to James Laws. Got right on his gearbox there through the loop, and James Laws going a little bit wide there as they came onto the Wellington straight. Prev on slightly fresher tires at this stage. 13 lap old softs versus James Laws on 16 lap old softs. We'll be looking to get one more move done before we see the checkered flag here in just 3.5 or so laps. Four and a half. Right.
It's late, it's fine. You joined halfway through, mate. It's all good. You've just gone in. To be fair, it showed how much the DRS has paid dividends, even, in regards to old dads, because he's dropped another second now to Xerxes over the space of a lap or two. However, Daisy's not reeling him in at the rate that you would expect on the fresher tyres, so clearly there is something either in the setup or... because that McLaren was leading confidently for a good portion of this Grand Prix on the same set of tyres.
It shows to how much Daisy's teammate actually helped out at the beginning of the race. They were running 1-2 in the opening laps, and James Laws really played a factor in holding up Xerxes and Old Dads, as we now see James Laws having to defend down the Wellington straight, and it's Prev in the Ferrari getting the inside line and sending it and getting the move done through Brooklands. But as I was saying, James Laws did well to hold up Daisy's rivals there in the first stint of this race, and I think that played a factor and really let Daisy pull a nice gap. But since then, maybe the pace of Xerxes and Old Dads has really shown here.
Well, if it wasn't for the coming together between James and Old Dads earlier on, onto the old start-finish straight, the whole way this race has panned out would be significantly different, because they wouldn't have had to make that extra stop. And while this has all been going on, Blunt Sandu did stop for the fresh set of tyres. He did set the fastest lap of the race in doing so, and it looked like he gave it everything he got, because he crossed the line with I think 1% battery and a nice yellow dash light flashing to say he's underfueled. So he gave it everything he's got there to get that fastest lap point.
James Laws trying to challenge Prev, get that position back. It was this time last lap where Prev was making a move on James Laws. James Laws will try to do the same, return the favor down the Wellington straight, but it looks like Prev has just got the straight line speed to hold a decent gap, and then James Laws going a little deep, so Prev stays in 6th.
Yeah, both Ferraris have shown very good pace. In a straight line speed, so the setups they're running must be very similar. And definitely a weird penalty being picked up there by James Laws as he goes across the infield of the track on the old start-finish straight, but it's classed as gaining an advantage, so a penalty has been handed out. And a very obscure line as well coming through the middle sector, but if he keeps it clean, he can definitely get back at Prev, and 2-3 laps to go, it could be probably the last overtake, if he can get back at him, that we could see for the race. Gonna have a quick check at the penalties to see how this will affect everything, because even though there is all the gaps in track position, I believe we could end up seeing... Well, actually saying that, I think everyone's actually going to remain pretty much where they are. The guys with the lesser amount of penalties have ended up near the front.
James Laws will be dropping back, as well as Blood and Sand, but aside from that, we might see a place drop for Maxi. Dropping back, promoting Sega to 4th. Of course, the rule in wheel to wheel is you get 4 track limit penalties, so 12 seconds is fair game, but once you get that 5th track limit penalty, which gives you 15 seconds, and then after the 15 seconds, you're also dropped 1 place in the final classifications. So Maxi, James Laws, and Blood and Sand will be dropping. James Laws will be dropping a few places as each penalty you are awarded. Oh, and now James Laws is into the wall. Just about keeps that car alive.
To be fair, on the subject of penalties, the one guy that still kept a very clean race, even though he may be 40 seconds behind the car in front, CHM, one of the veterans of the league, like I say, he's kept it clean, and he's a bit of a quiet one this afternoon, unfortunately, after a slight tangle with Sega earlier on, which unfortunately I think it caught both drivers out. But yeah, he's had a clean race, and he's just been there. He's finished. He's going to get some nice points and no penalties, so he'll jump a couple positions as well, just for the doing so in that sense. And as we say that, another penalty for James, well, for both McLarens actually, in the space of a lap. But
yeah, so just clarifying the penalty rule as that was.
Sorry.
Went over it. There's James Laws having that moment that sort of distracted us, but now there's 27 seconds in penalties, so 9 track limit penalties. So after you get the 5th, you're demoted a place, and then every track limit penalty from then on, you're demoted another place. So 18 seconds would equal demotion of 2 places, and so on and so forth. So with 27 seconds, that would be 4 places, or 5, 4 or 6.
I thought it'd be
5.
4. I thought it'd be. Oh no, on the 5th you get your first one, so it would be 5. It'd be 5, yeah, because he's got 4 passes.
18, 2, 21, 3, 24, 4. Yeah, 5. So 5 place penalty for James Laws, and it would drop him down to 10th, as we only have 10 cars being classified for this one. But then Blood and Sand, of course, dropping back as well, which might then drop him behind James Laws.
And I'm just going to cut to the race leader as he's coming to finish off the 52nd rotation of this track, or tour in that sense. Xerxes in the Red Bull, very good drive, very close moments early on, but he's managed to pull it back, and he's going to put the Red Bull across the line to take the win at round 11 here at Silverstone this evening. Closely followed by Old Dads in the Ferrari as well, with a completely different strategy, but a brilliant drive. And the cars are going to cross the line as followed, as we've seen a majority of the race, to be fair. Daisy getting the fastest lap in the process on the final lap, so that's the extra point that he would have wanted for McLaren.
Yeah, every point matters, and it's a good result for Daisy, all things considered. His first race, being the lead driver of that McLaren team, having Cal moved up to AL1. So a good drive from him, and then Maxi crosses the line to finish 4th. A good drive from him. Sega Takaz finishing 5th, but we'll likely see those 2 positions swapped after the penalties are served, after the penalty demotion is put in place for Maxi. And now we have Prev coming around the last corner for the final time. Saw some good moves from the Ferrari driver. Good drive, and he crosses the line 6th. James Laws was involved in all sorts of fun throughout this one.
Did he run out of fuel?
I think he maybe letting Dino by there as they came across the line, as he knew the penalty situation regardless. But 8th for James Laws. Driver of the day, Prev, and he was involved in all sorts of battling, put on a great show for us. No complaints there. Driver of the day for Prev. But the man on the top step is Xerxes in the Red Bull.
I mean, brilliant drive by the top 2 today, especially after what happened so early on as well in the race. For them to both come back and end up jumping the person who was leading the race by a substantial amount in Daisy. They've both done well, and both using completely different strategies in doing so, just to spice it up even more and get our brains working even more to try and work everything out. there we are, the final classifications on the screen in front of us. Of course, there will be some slight adjustments regarding the penalty situation. But Xerxes does claim a victory here this evening for Red Bull. Second place, Old Dads for Ferrari. Third, Daisy for the McLaren. Fourth and fifth, Maxi for Renault and Sega for Williams. Prev crossing the line in sixth for the second Ferrari. Dino with a brilliant drive in the AlphaTauri, coming home in seventh. James Laws eighth, Blood and Sand ninth, and then CHM, our last classified finisher, in 10th, with unfortunately a letdown our state, our only retiree for this evening.
Yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed that, and now we are joined by a couple of our podium sitters, James in the McLaren and Xerxes,
hello,
our race winner. So thank you, boys, for joining us. We'll make sure the party settings are allowing your voice to be shared for this interview.
pretty sure mine are always on anyway, so
I believe so.
So we'll start with you, James. That was an incredible start to the race for you, taking the lead into the first braking zone, and then you were really able to pull the gap. I think your teammate helped you out as well, James Laws, getting up into second and sort of holding up your rivals. So you really took control in that first stint.
yeah. Me and James were talking, and we were like, we knew he was going to help me out with making a gap. So it was just up to me trying to be as quick as I could in that first stint.
Yeah, and then, of course, the safety cars kind of undid a lot of your work as you pulled, I think it was a 5, maybe 6 second gap before the first safety car, and then all that work was just undone, and everybody was right behind you once again. So
Yeah.
those safety cars maybe didn't help you out too much, did they?
I mean, they kind of did with the tyre wear, but with times, no. It really pushed me back, but still managed to get on the podium.
Yeah, of course. It was a good drive, and then the strategy call. We saw a big mix of strategies, a couple cars involved in incidents, causing them to pit under the first safety car, and then I think you pit under the second safety car to go on to a set of mediums. Do you think there was any different strategy that might have been there for you today that might have changed your result, or do you think no regrets for you in terms of strategy calls?
I think if I didn't pit, I could have been first or second, because I knew Xerxes was going to be a lot quicker than me.
So you would have then stayed out and pit about 10 laps later probably than you did, and gone on to fresh tires at that point?
I think if I looked at my times compared to Xerxes when he pitted, with him and Aiden going to battle, I think I may have been able to stay ahead, or...
Yeah. Well, Allshot, if you got anything you'd like to ask?
Yeah, to be fair, well, the start was brilliant, to be fair, seeing both McLarens just completely just swallow up the Ferrari before turn 2, and you guys just seemed to set your own pace there. I don't know if you did realise at all, but there was a bit of an incident involving, I believe it was, Xerxes and Old Dads. I believe I could be thinking of the wrong two drivers here coming to the old start finish straight.
It was James Laws and Old Dads, I believe.
It was James Laws. Apologies. So I just always think there's a Red Bull involved.
How dare
But
you.
yeah. But no, did you? I don't know if you would have been told about that while you were going or noticed it, but that must have been a bit of a breather in that sense. So you could try to crack on, and like Matty said, make the space you had. It was just unfortunate for the safety cars, but no, brilliant drive, honestly, from start to finish, and a top 3 is still something definitely to be proud about.
Yeah, I'm very proud about getting top 3. I have the mirror on, so I knew there was contact behind me. I don't know what happened, but
I think it looked like they tried using the wrong pit lane, putting it that way. I think the stewards will have a look at that one. I think, but yeah.
yeah.
It was a very
I mean,
unique
I
incident.
was being told that Aiden had moved in, or James had moved in. But I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, the stewards will look at it at some point, maybe get some of the driver point of views. But thank you for joining us, James. It was a great drive, a great show put on by you and all the boys. So well done, James, for finishing third.
thank you.
I smashed it.
And now our race winner, Xerxes. It didn't look good early for you once again. You never seem to make it easy on yourself, but you were able to battle your way back. Talk us through that.
Like, looking back at it now, I was about to set the fastest lap, so I floored it on the penultimate corner. And thinking about it now, like, why would you do that so early on in the race? It's going to get beaten later. So, yeah, just another learning curve, isn't it? I suppose. But yeah, that was a great race. That was really good. I think I played it right with the safety cars. The difference between me and old Dad's was he went softs and I went mediums.
Yeah.
I wanted to end on the faster tyre, which obviously paid off. But yeah, like I just couldn't get rid of James. Yeah, that was annoying. I think we were both on the mediums, and I wanted to pull away or try to, but I just couldn't get rid of him. So I then pit onto the softs, and then a few laps later he pulled onto the softs, and he was right behind me again. Just couldn't get away from him.
You're never going to get rid of me.
No. No, but it was a great race, so it was really enjoyable. Yeah, can't really complain, I suppose, after a spin, but I've just got to stop spinning.
Yeah.
It's so inconsiderate as well, especially when we're watching another battle, and then all of a sudden we got to jump to you because you've spun somewhere. Like,
yeah, well, now I know not to push the fastest lap.
You're pretty much Mazepin in disguise.
Exactly, yeah. I am, yeah. But touch wood, don't DNF the car, so I nearly did. Took the wing out, got a 5-second pen for speeding in the pit lane.
So those safety cars definitely helped you out then, because it was at the same time old Dad's pit. I think you came into pit as well after that first safety car, and that really put you back in the mix, didn't it?
Yeah, like I say, old Dad's went for the softs, and he just went through the pack, and I went for the mediums because I wanted to finish on the softs. And like I say, it was obviously the right choice because I caught up to him, and then obviously got the lead and pulled away a little bit.
Yeah, and it was great to see a battle for the lead in the closing laps. But then myself and Allshot were both aware of, I guess, the straight line speed that Ferrari had. It took you a few tries with DRS. I noticed there were times where you're saving your overtake, trying to go for it all at once, and then it paid off in the end. So is that just a strategy that you decided to use there, trying to save up a little bit of overtake, because you know the straight line speed of that Ferrari is always something impressive?
Yeah, and his I can't quite remember how old his mediums were, but they might have just been coming in as my softs were going out. So I really didn't want to use too much overtake. I was low on fuel, so I had to save fuel as well. I always have a habit of being in negative fuel towards the end, and I just didn't want that. And I could tell in the last few laps he really pushed because he took a few seconds off me as well. So I was just trying to play it safe. And to be honest, on lap 51, I thought it was the last lap again, and I nearly celebrated. But yeah, a bit like can't remember where it was now.
Baku.
Yeah, that's it, Azerbaijan. Yeah.
Well, I do have to ask one thing. You had a very a different opportune overtaking spot going into Maggots. I think you pulled off twice, and both times I think we just had to cut to it last minute on the broadcast, and you would just literally, there was enough of time for a car's width to make it through. Was that something? Were you planning on those moves, or was that just the car in front getting a worse run than you were expecting?
Yeah, pretty much that. I found myself getting a better exit. It's a tricky corner, that fast right-hander. I don't know what it's called.
Cops.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, it's tricky. Like for the first few laps, you let off, and then you start feathering it in there, And then yeah, it's I just got better runs, I think, and I just went for it. I said I didn't have Chris because he's working, so I didn't have my Jeff, but Katie was in the chat, who doesn't know the difference between DRS and ERS, so thanks for that, Katie. But yeah, I said to her as I was going for the overtake, I was like, this is risky, but managed to pull him off.
Well, it was great to see you recover after that early mistake. Safety car was, of course, playing a factor as well. But congratulations on the win, Xerxes. Great drive, and thank you, boys, both for joining us. That was Daisy and Xerxes.
Thank you, sir.
So that was pure pandemonium, as our friend Bloomstar would say. A great race to watch. We hope everyone enjoyed it. And we will be back next Friday for the next round of this AL2 Championship. We look forward to seeing everybody then. Thank you for watching.
Good night.
Bye.